Welcome back to the Wellness Tribes podcast, Finding Your Vibe. This is the podcast where we share with you our journey as a new business
and help you to elevate your life by connecting to the highest, most authentic version of yourself. You can now watch the podcast on YouTube, follow us on TikTok, and of course over on our Instagram. This is how you will become part of the tribe.
How are you?
I'm just so happy to see you.
I'm so happy to see you.
It's actually quite exciting because tribe, we are a week and a half closer to being reunited. So
We actually are.
How quick has that gone? I mean, has it gone quick?
Do you know what? It kind of has, because I feel like so much has happened since, not like exciting stuff, just like really, really busy since you've been gone. In like,
Yeah.
I don't know, there's always been something, whether it be like a dance show or we did the Specsavers retreat and then I was on holiday. Do you know, so it's always been something. I've not just been like, it's not been that chilled.
Planning for me, not just
I
chilling.
know.
I think because it's summer though, isn't it? I think summer's like a little bit, everyone's everywhere, aren't
chaotic.
they? So it just feels normal that I wouldn't be there. But I feel like for me, it's gone, like it feels like forever ago that I was at home. But like, you know, where you have a holiday and then the last 3 days go super quick. It's like I'm in that bit now where it's like,
oh really?
Oh my God, like it's actually going to go so quick. And I'm like so excited because I am excited to be back because you do miss a little bit of like normality. But then it's just like, I know I say it all the time, but I think the weather is just playing on my mind because I think, will I get back? And I'm like so excited to be back. And then it'll rain the day that I'm home. And I'm just like, Lord, give me strength. Yes, I cannot do this. I know.
It will absolutely rain.
Yeah, I feel like we start every podcast with this, but Emily's like sat in the dark and it's like the middle of the day. Whereas it's nighttime here.
Honestly, and this is like the light room in the house, and I'm like, it's dark. Like, I woke up this morning and it was honestly like, it was ridiculously dark. I can't even tell you. Like, not even, I don't mean like, I mean, the sun was fully up, but it was raining, dark, cloudy, miserable, so depressing.
Yeah,
apparently it's meant to get nicer. It's meant to get nicer now towards the end of this week, but then I just think now, like, now I was more ready for summer in like April, May, June, July, and now it gets to August, and I know that is obviously like height of summer, but as we get into September, then it's like, no, you know, you've not shown us a good summer. I don't want it now.
No, it's like give me one or the other, isn't it?
Yeah.
You need
I'm
to
ready for a coat.
To cozy. Yeah, like it needs to be either summer outfit or cozy. Sorry, that incense is just blowing in my face. But yeah, it rained for an hour here, and then we actually were like, I couldn't think what to do because obviously you're in Bali, but like we actually walked up the road to get a coffee because it was the start of the day as well. Because usually the start of the day is a little bit cloudy and then it's full sun like all day every day. Yeah. But it was raining in the morning, and then we walked to get a coffee, and then we just looked at each other and were like, now it's hitting me that this is what we're going to go back to. But
yeah,
you know what? I feel like it's made me a little bit like, I think I'm going to go home and embrace the seasons. Like I'm going to be a bit more like you, I think, because I've had so much sun. I'm hoping like my vitamin D will be like, I've got more than enough to power me through the winter. Yeah. And I'm just going to try and enjoy the cozy vibes that you love.
Absolutely. I mean, one of my friends went away last Christmas, and I think they went to like, I think they went to Lanzarote or Tenerife or something. Yeah. And she was like, it was just the best thing because it was warm Christmas Day. Yeah. And they were like having their Christmas dinner, but like in a summer dress. And they were just like, do you know what? It was just so like chilled, and it was just like nice to have that bit of warmth on your skin. Yeah. And I feel like that's what you need at that time of year. Like, yeah.
I think I will probably still go away for like Christmas. Said that to you, didn't I? But I think obviously it should be probably just to go somewhere warmer, to be honest, because I just feel like it just does pick up the vibes a little bit. But I am excited. I'm excited to see you. I'm excited to do the event. I'm excited to see the dog. It's just like everything is like actually exciting. I feel like I was worried that me and Adam were going to come back and be like, really thinking, oh my God, I really don't want to go home. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? But I think it's good that we went to Australia first because that's probably a bit more livable for me than Bali. So now that we're leaving from Bali, it is more like a holiday destination. So there's
Yeah.
only so long you can ride this holiday wave for. So yeah, I'm just like thinking, let's get back, let's get in a little bit of a routine and just like go for the cozy vibes. But talking of cozy vibes, Emily just told me what she's planning on doing to her home. Don't tell everyone.
Do you know what? I'm laughing because I've been living here for 3 years, and, like, when we first moved in, I'd say to Luke, like, "Do you like this couch?" And he'd be like, "No." So we'd have, like, grey, 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 and I was just like, "Oh, do you know what?
Just
Like,
boy
this
grey.
this this won't last." I knew it wouldn't last anyway. More and more colours come in, but now I'm having a pink kitchen.
Full on pink. She just showed me a picture and like it was
It's pink.
pink,
Do you
but
know when you're like, a
gorgeous.
house just suits the colour pink? Like, this
Your house
house,
does.
she just really does suit pink.
No, it's so nice. Like you've got quite a bit of pink in there
Mhm.
anyway, so I feel like it's ready for the addition of the pink kitchen. It's just
Yeah.
very. It's
I
like
mean,
this
we've
is
never
my
done the
Barbie dream
kitchen.
house.
I know. We've never done the kitchen, so it's not like it was done when we moved in and then we've just thought, "Well, let's redo it." It was quite nice when we moved in and we've just left it, like, it wasn't desperate to be done, but it is getting to a point where we're like, "Okay, the rest of the house is all, like, our vibe, and that's the bit that needs doing." So, if we're gonna do it, let's go
Yeah,
all
if you're
out.
gonna do it, like do it with like a bit of impact. You know what I mean? But
The As much as, we are doing the kitchen, my mum's helping me plan it because they've done theirs and they moved their kitchen from, where the kitchen was to, like, a different room, and she was like, "I'm not planning a whole new kitchen, there's nothing wrong with it." And that's how I feel about this. There's nothing wrong with the kitchen. So, it's like it was probably new to the people before us. Like, it looked like they'd started that and then they just thought, "Let's move
not
house." Do you
finished
know what I
it.
mean? There was
Yeah.
nothing wrong with it. So, I am gonna keep the whole kitchen, revamp it, move it around a little bit. It's not quite the, like, formation that I'm after. So I'm gonna refigure that whole thing using what we've got. So I actually only need to add in, like, a couple of units and not much really. I'm gonna get a new worktop, but the actual cabinets will get sprayed.
Oh
So I'm
yeah.
gonna
So you're actually
spray them.
upcycling it.
Yes.
It's a little upcycle. That's so cute. For
Yeah.
anyone who doesn't like know Emily and you're like listening to this maybe for like the first time, Emily is like, you know what vibe you are? Like, like I don't know how this works, but what like with Matilda and Miss what was the nice one? The nice one.
Miss Honey.
Miss Honey. Like Emily is like Miss Honey and like you imagine that you walk into a house and like whenever I go to Emily's if we're doing work or something, I'm just like hoping that she's like baked
Oh, yeah.
something. Like or she like made a soup or
Oh, it'll
something
be
like that. Like
something.
it's just given wholesome. So I feel like this pink kitchen, you're going to be like Miss Honey in the kitchen, bacon. It's just going to
That's
be
so
absolutely
funny.
stunning, to be honest. Luke, on the other hand, I don't know where he sits in my image with the bake. Maybe he's going to start baking and then get him a penny, and he can be in the kitchen as well. I'm not
No,
sure,
he
but
makes me cry. I'm literally like painting away and he doesn't even bat an eyelid. Now he's just like, but it makes me laugh because I'm painting, right? And I've painted this cabinet downstairs that was my mum's and I've had it from here, but like you say, upcycled, it's now pink. And I'll be painting away and then he comes in and he's like, "Did you not think you should probably do this in a different room to the dog?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like picking black hairs out of the cabinet that have like been painted.
he's like, at least I tried.
And I'm like,
Rock's like
"Okay,
that, putting
I'm
his
sorry."
nose in it.
Yeah, literally, like, little pink paws. So I'm like jumping up, seeing who's at the window. I'm like, this is not ideal, but do you know what? You just scratch off and paint over, and no one's
That's what I mean.
none the
If you can't
wiser.
just like beat a bit of paint. But do you know what? What you're saying is like I think we spoke about it in the last one. I'm excited for my next house for it to be more like
Yeah,
that. Like I think it's
yeah,
nice that you're making your house like a home, and there definitely is something in that. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I think I am ready for that. I don't know if my kitchen would be pink, but I might see yours, and we could have like matching
Maybe
pink ones.
I can see
Imagine that.
yours being green.
I think you could have hints of green. I think what's funny, I was thinking about you maybe thinking this the other day, since we've like done the tribe, your colour is pink, so you're still very pink. But I feel like maybe I didn't ever have a colour, and the tribe happened, and everything I do now is green. Like
It's green.
I'm just so drawn to things. And I used to hate the colour green, but I think in our green, ours is a nice green. It's not like an ugly green. It's a pretty
Yeah,
green. So whenever I'm looking at things now, I just think it's wrong of me not. I need to go for green. My nails are green. Like even when I was getting it done, I was like, this is weird, but it feels right. So maybe
that's
my
it. I know
house
what you
will be
mean.
themed around green.
Well, my mum's
Found
is
my colour.
green, isn't it? Which
Oh
sounds
yeah.
awful, and this pink kitchen sounds awful. But I'll post a picture when it's done,
I think it'll be
and you'll
gorgeous.
see.
I think it'll be absolutely stunning,
Yeah,
you
my
know. I
mum's is
just
gorgeous, and like I say, hers is green, so that's kind of the vibe I'm thinking yours will be. You know.
yeah. I'm excited that we can update everyone on this and then say, so I'm going to stick to my words and I'm going to make like a homely home anyway.
Oh
But we
yeah,
kind of wanted to do
definitely.
this episode to we were just said about last week about navigating our 30s and stuff. And I feel like we obviously, as we're getting older and our careers and stuff like that. So we thought no one actually knows. Like, I don't even know your career path then. So do you feel like for anyone who's listening to this in the 20, where were you when you were 20? What was she doing?
I was actually still in uni,
Oh yeah. When did you finish uni? 21?
but I went a year later, so I think I finished at 22. I think I haven't got a very good memory to be honest. So I went to uni and did dance in Leeds, but I was home quite a lot. So I worked just like in a restaurant. Anyway, I was the worst person ever to have this job because I just didn't like it. But the bit that I did like was just chatting to everyone. So I think in the end, they just probably kept me there. I don't know how I didn't get fired, but I was probably the friendliest on the bar. And then when people came in, they were like, "I put the table," I'd be like, "Let me check for you." Hoping to think,
You were the
but if
voice.
they
You were
asked
the
me to like
host.
do, yeah, if they asked me to do a job, I'd just be like, no. Like they'd ask me to go in the cellar and like restock all like the bottles that had gone, and I'd just be like,
Like, that doesn't
going in the
work
cellar.
for me.
And it's not because I didn't want to go in the cellar for like, I just didn't. It was scary. I wasn't going
Yeah,
in the cellar.
I can't see you in the cellar, to be
No, it
honest.
was claustrophobic. I sound like Gemma Collins, and she's like claustrophobic. That's how it felt down there. I thought I'm not going down there. Like no, 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 no. Anyway, so that didn't last that long really. And then I started teaching baby ballet for the girl that had the franchise. So I taught baby ballet, and I went to India and did my yoga training. So that was when I finished uni. So like 22,
What
did
made
my
you book
yoga
your
training.
yoga though? Did you see a yoga teacher or something?
Yeah, I did. So I did like a module of yoga in uni. Really like that. It's not competitive. There's no judgment in it. It's just you just flow, don't you? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I really liked all of that. And I think having a background from dance and only being 22, knowing that I didn't really want to do dance, but being good at something, it just made me think, oh, I'm just gonna go. Anyway, a friend of mine, I had already booked it and she was going. And then I went to a yoga studio in town. It's not there anymore. And I just thought, this is the life.
Yeah, like that
And
could be me.
funnily enough, thinking about what we've like talking about vision boards and stuff, it was a yoga studio, but it had like a kitchen on it. So it had like I don't think they did much, but they did like a few like bakes, so like banana breads, and then it had like juices and like this big fridge of like nice drinks and stuff, just stuff that we
Oh
like
yeah.
really.
Before it was like as popular now.
Yeah, this is going back
Mm.
so like 8 years ago. So that's common now, isn't it? But it wasn't at the
Yeah.
time. So that was in like the September, maybe a little bit earlier, like in the summer. And then the yoga training was booked for October. So it was fully booked, but I rang them and just said, like, is there any way you can book me on? And they did, they booked me on. So me and my friend Jen went and we did that. in India. So that I came home from there in the November, and then I started teaching classes of my own in the cricket club in Ormskirk in say like that spring. So just went for it. And then I think because it was in the cricket club, I have said this before, but it's hard when you set something up and you're just in like a town hall or somewhere where people just hire out and there's not like a community there that's there all the time because there's not like a buzz around it. So there's loads of different classes going in and out. However,
Yeah.
at this time that I started the yoga, they were after something for like this is probably a bit, you know, all the men did the cricket and they wanted something for like the women to have there as well,
Yeah.
which, like I say, probably
So,
isn't quite right nowadays.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it is in a way. But do you know what I mean? That's what it was like. So
Well, it's not really
so
because you did end up like having men come anyway. So I
oh
think it
yeah,
kind of led into
definitely,
having men, didn't it? But it was just obviously
yeah.
showed there was a gap that
There was a
they
gap,
wanted
yeah,
to do something else instead of watch the cricket.
yeah,
Which
yeah, yeah.
fair enough.
So I know, and it still fit in with their like sporty vibes. Do you know what I mean? So it did work really well, and like I say, because there was that community there, and they'd also post like, "Oh, there's yoga on tonight" or whatever. So that got really busy quite quickly. So I was still teaching baby ballet, and I was doing yoga. So now that was quite a
Yeah, but then
while.
you had the thing with the franchise thing, didn't you? Like you had to get out of the
I think that came a little bit later. So I'm still only teaching for the girl that owned the franchise. So then
right.
the year before COVID, so like the end of 2019, I then bought the franchise from this girl and went for went all out doing baby ballet. Like I say, that it's a franchise. And then we went into lockdown not long after that. So I had the franchise, but only for a few months. And then, long story cut short, I won't go into it because it is a long story, but I was able to get out of that franchise. But with this, we're talking like a whole year. So this is maybe like September of 2020 at this point, and I finally got this letter to say like you're out the franchise. The biggest blessing. What a blessing! If I could tell you anything, do not get into a franchise. And I feel like people have probably told me that before, and I was just like, I'm going to do it anyway. No,
Yeah, but that is
honestly,
interesting though. Like what? So when you did the franchise thing, what did you think? Oh, that'll just be easier because it's got the name instead of doing my own for now. Like was it like a comfort blanket and then it turned
Um,
out like it backfired kind of thing?
I think I also felt a lot of loyalties to the girl that had it before me because I
Yeah.
had taught for her by this point, probably 4 or 5 years, maybe.
Yes, it's more like a moral thing, isn't it? When
But I
really
was there
like
a lot.
you were going to do
It,
it
it
anyway.
it was a moral thing, really, and a blessing in a way because I went and did all the training with baby ballet. It did not that I would need it to in a way because, like I said, I had taught for them for that long, but it was a moral thing, which anyway didn't she doesn't speak to me now anyway. So, in hindsight,
In hindsight,
what
it
a
doesn't
waste of
matter.
money. However, we don't look back on things like that. So, it is what it is. There's a few positives in it which you can take from it. So, anyway, I got out the franchise and it was a bit mad, I probably should say, like, going into how we look at things now, I needed a solicitor at this time. And one of the mums at ballet, bearing in mind I hadn't owned it for that long and it had been locked down in between this time. So it'd be very easy for this woman to just turn a blind eye. Anyway, she was a mum at ballet and I knew she was a solicitor. And I remember speaking to her like a few weeks before this saying, like, what do you do kind of thing. And she told me a little bit about what she did and whatever. Anyway, a few weeks pass and I need her. Like I needed her. And it like
So that
clicked
was
for
the
me. And I was
world
like,
being like, I
this,
know a solicitor.
yeah. So basically a ballerina's mum massively helped me out. And she would write the letters back and forth.
What's the
And
chances of that though?
she didn't charge me for anything.
Wow.
Like she was just like, no, I'm gonna help you. Like what they've done is wrong. Like I will
How
help
nice is
you.
that though? Like that's not really. mightn't have
Yeah.
been in that situation really to even
No.
know someone to do it, and it would have cost an absolute fortune if you didn't know her.
Honestly, I am so grateful. So obviously she got us out and I just sent her like the biggest bunch of flowers and like the biggest thank you ever. But you look back now and you think, how mad is that? I knew her and she was able to do that. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, um, got out of that and then fast forward through Corona because that was, bad times. And
Yeah.
in fact, to say bad times, do you know what? I was really lucky because I was living at home with my mum and dad, and Georgia, my sister, runs the ballet with me. So I know people had a terrible time, but ours was quite chilled, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like we just had like a bit of time, just us four.
Yeah, and it probably made you think about like all that stuff as well, like all that.
And yeah,
Instead of like probably if that hadn't happened, no one would have slowed down, and then you probably would have
no,
like went headfirst into something else, or
yeah,
being too traumatized by it to like even do like the ballet again. Because probably if it was
yeah.
more off that and you had to do something, you probably would have thought, right, I'm going to completely like pivot here
I
because
know.
I'm not meant to do this. Like this is the world telling me not to do it, but probably because you just kind of had like because it was nearly like 2 years, wasn't it? So it's like a lot of
Yeah,
time to kind of nothing hurts as much
yeah.
when in time. So you probably thought, oh no, you know what, like being done, moved on, can definitely do it. But
I
I just
know.
don't think whether I don't know, you would be quite scarred by that thing. And so I don't think you would have went straight back in.
Well, I don't know, because the lockdowns were so like it was like a few months here and a few months there, wasn't it? So in the gaps, I was teaching at the studio then that I had full time. So like I didn't have it full time at this point, I don't think. No, I didn't have it full time at this point, but I did have it was in the talks of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what happened basically is I had to shut down that business in that name and then I had to let customers know that it would be like changing names, but basically you could start again in a different name
Hmm.
yourself.
Yeah.
So I went for it, carried on. And then I got that studio then full time. Now that studio was gorgeous. It was so nice. Like I don't think I
Is
probably ever
this
put
the
a pic on the
studio?
tribe. Yeah, the big one.
The one
Yeah, it
where
was really
we met?
yeah,
Not
it
met,
was really,
but
really
we
nice.
did.
Yeah, we did meet there really, didn't we?
Yeah. I don't think I met you before then.
No. So then I moved all my yoga classes over there and was doing ballet. Everything was quite busy. Where are we up to now in terms of years? Probably not that long ago. Maybe like
No, it's not really. I think that was
2
just
years ago,
after. No, it would be three, two and a
3
half,
years ago.
three.
I would have
Because
stayed there
the
for like a good
tribe's
year.
nearly two, isn't it?
Yeah,
Were
and
you
when the
still in
tribe
there at the
turned
start of the tribe?
yeah, so when the tribe turned 2, we were meant to be doing an event in that studio, but we had to move it to Helston Hall. Do you remember?
Oh, you mean when the tribe first started, not turned
Yeah.
two?
Oh yeah, sorry. When the tribe
I was like, that's next week, my sis.
no, no, no,
Oh,
no. On the tribe's first event.
yeah, yeah. Okay, that makes sense now. Wow, isn't that actually crazy? Because I think back and think both of us kind of what we were doing around that time. I don't know. Maybe it's different for me because obviously I'm a little bit younger. Like I just feel like they're big years in terms of, like I feel like when I was in your studio teaching, I feel like not me. Like when I was a baby. Do you know what I
Oh
mean? I
no,
feel like
I don't know. I kind of do. It's weird. So that when I look back on that time, it was actually so nice. Like I would go and do ballet in the morning, and then I would go home, just living with my mum and dad. I moved in here 3 years ago, so there was a good period of time where I was in that studio of like maybe I'd just met Luke or I'm not sure, I can't remember, and yeah, and then you started teaching your classes in there, but then I still have yoga in the evening. So no, it was really nice to be honest. Like it was,
no, it was nice. It was like really cute in there. And then the
yeah,
tribe
like
started and she hasn't had a minute since.
so that there is a reason why the tribe started though, because we had spoken a lot about doing a retreat or an event or whatever, and as much as I'm looking back on this time now, being like, oh, that was so nice. I definitely had met Luke at this point and I'd moved in with him. And I was teaching yoga like 3 or 4 evenings a week. But then that we also had the dog, but then I'd be missing out on walking the dog and I'd miss out on like having my tea with with him because Luke, not the dog, because I'd be like back out at yoga. So I'd go out in the morning and do classes, then you'd go home and do your job. So you'd do the food shop or you'd do whatever. And then you'd go back out and do more work then. And you think like,
Yeah,
oh, it's only an hour yoga class, but you actually get there early and you set up and you light all your incense and you light all the candles. And then people like to get there early and get their spot and you'd want to chat to everybody. And then you would do the hour-long class, and then sometimes you'd chat again at the end, well, quite a lot of the time because I liked everyone so much, like, I wanted to chat
yeah.
to them.
I think it's
They
that
were all
lull
so
though
nice.
as well in the afternoon. I think at that time we were both in the same kind of situation with that, because I feel like anyone who's listening to this who's like a PT as well, or
They will get the
kind of
same
in no
thing.
time, because I had
Yeah,
that for like literal years, and like obviously I still loved the job, but I remember the mornings were so much easier because you kind of like get up, do the morning, finish. But then when I was PTing, you'd definitely be finished by about 11, because that'd be like peak times. You'd get like people before work, people like before the kids go to school, the mums just after the school run, and then you'd be done, and then you wouldn't be back until 4.
yeah,
But I remember between like 11 and 4, if you didn't have like work to do or anything, you'd literally just, if you weren't going out, you'd just be so tired, and then you'd have to
yeah,
rebuild yourself to
I know.
go back like in the night. And I remember actually when I was teaching in your studio for that, because I only did one day, didn't I, like a 6 o'clock or something. And I'm not an evening person anyway. I think you could probably do more evenings than me anyway, but that was like my only evening. And it was at 6 o'clock because I think I had to wait for the girls who were in before me, didn't I, or something, for
Yeah,
them to finish.
yeah,
I remember it just got to a point and I was like, every single week I was like dreading it, because I was like, I just want to be finished.
I
Do you know what
know.
I mean?
I
So I feel like
know.
we both were kind of looking for a little bit of a, because you had to do stuff like that most days then, because we were
Yeah,
just, you just had to, didn't you, if you were teaching yoga as well and then classes. So we were kind of a little bit like, oh, what else can we do that means we could do stuff for just a weekend or something like that. So I think that was the idea, wasn't it? It was just,
that
there
was
was no
definitely the idea.
intention behind it, though, really.
There was
No
no
big
business
intention.
plan. No, no, no. So that was 2 years ago then, coming up, that I left that big studio because the ceiling kept falling down and the water would flood in. No, I mean flood, flood, flood in that room. Obviously, it all got fixed or whatever, but it happened like just
Too many
one too
times.
many times, and it was just there was no parking around there either, which made it difficult for Saturday Bally mums. Anyway, moved on to Hillston Hall and I'm still there now. I really like it there. I've actually got like a different um like relationship with them now than when I first started. So that's really nice. We've got more like an exclusive use of that studio in that time. Those 2 years I have also been at a different studio. Didn't do yoga there though, just did ballet. So I did ballet in different locations. But I think sometimes you look back and you reflect and you think actually sometimes you can put too much on that doesn't benefit yourself
Yeah,
or
100%.
potentially even the business. And we have a lot of conversations like that as well, don't we? Because we're both, I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but when you're like, you have like a creative mind, you're like, oh yeah, I can do this and this and this and this and this and this, and I can do it all. And you can do it all. But then I think with age for me, not that I'm, like, old and wise, but I think going from, like, starting this at, like, early 20s to then now being 30, sometimes you realise, actually, you can make the most of something by doing less.
Yeah, I think once you step away, you kind of like refine everything, because
Yeah,
when you're in it, you're too busy to like, you just got to keep going kind of thing, because that's the schedule and that's whatever. And then you've got something else on after, and then you
yeah,
think, it's not that much. But then, say, when something happens where you've got to move, or say, for me, I've completely come away now, you kind of look back and think, like, it was just completely unnecessary to
mhm,
be doing that much, especially for me. Like I was saying to Adam, I was like, now that when I go back, I realise I'm basically self-employed. I can do my days on my own time and really but
Yeah.
I wasn't. Like every single
No.
day, I was still full. Like I wasn't really giving myself any time for it to feel like it was on my time. And then you
Yeah.
think, isn't that the whole reason that you're self-employed, that you can do that? But sometimes you trap yourself in your own
Yeah.
thing, don't you? Do you know what I
No,
mean? So it's like
definitely.
it's just kind of being like, what is the most productive things for us to do? But that's what's hard because we both run other businesses, so we're kind of like trying to navigate where'd you delegate them times. But I think, say for you, I think when you, especially the last studio, we did kind of think like that was horrible, wasn't it? You just think
I know.
like I was devastated for you. Like I was like,
I know.
no, I felt
But
like
do you know
I'd been
what
in there.
now? I know. So I was so happy in the last studio that I've been in the last year and a half, and I would never, ever, ever have thought I would leave. Like,
No,
even when I was speaking to my mum, we'd be like, "Oh God, we could do whatever we want to here because we'll never leave." Like,
yeah,
honestly, thought it would be like decades and decades that we would have that business there because I only had the ballet there, which worked, in my opinion, really, really well. And then anyway, they we had to leave basically. Um, they did offer me a different alternative, but it wasn't a suitable alternative, and we were
yeah,
just too loud for where we were, which obviously kids being kids, they are loud, and if you're next door to people and the businesses don't align, it's almost like last one in, first one out. It was kind of like
yeah,
that situation. And at the time, I was so sad about it. Whereas now, going back for the new term, I think a lot of the sadness can come like, oh, will people still come? Like, will I get like a big enough client base just being in one location? But actually, there was nothing we could do about it. And
no,
the location that we are in is really, really gorgeous. And, there's loads of parking, there's a restaurant there. It's perfect. And it's only sometimes when you get forced into these situations that you're like, this is the best thing that could have happened.
yeah. Because you were basically going from one to the other anyway, so you're wasting. That's like little
Yeah.
things like that. Like you're wasting unnecessary time because it
Yeah.
was quite far away. So the other one was like out the way. So when I'd come and meet
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
it wasn't like easy
It
to
was
get
not
to
around the
from
corner.
anywhere
No.
really. Like you'd
No.
have to be travelling out your way, whereas the other one is kind of easy to get to. And then, but I
Hmm.
remember when it happened and you said you were going to do that. As soon as you said you could be permanently be where you are now, I said to you, didn't I? I was like, you
Yeah.
will be absolutely fine. Like
Yeah.
you get
Yeah.
customers there, like definitely. So
No,
I
it's
think it is
perfect.
crazy, but I think choosing to run your own business, you've got to be a bit mad
I
anyway.
know.
But it does kind of just seem to like work itself out in
I
a
know. I just
sense.
think there's not been much of a time where you're like where something is settled. It's always quite like up and down. Do you know what I
Oh,
mean?
definitely.
Not. I don't mean down in like a negative way. I just mean that like
No,
you'll
it's
have
like a
this like
roller coaster.
immense, yeah, and you'll have this like immense high of being like, oh, I'm gonna open this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and then you'll be like, this is normal day to day life, and you probably take your day to day life for
Yeah.
granted, and then you'll be like going, the down is like trying to search for somewhere new or like madly
A bit of
advertising,
panic.
letting people know, like a little bit of panic, not in a like really stressful, sad way, just a bit like you say, like a bit of a panic, and there's always like a lot to do in that time. So,
Yeah.
but now I feel like it's going on back on the up, and I think there's a lot happening like for the tribe that's making more sense. I feel like we had a lot of our retreats in the early part of this year. And then since you've been away, there's been a lot of like, I'd say that that's the down bit. Like I say, that's not the down. It's like the like almost like looking at the business plan, being like, right, what's next? What we doing now? And then now it's like back on its way, like finding the path, and it's getting exciting because we know
Yeah,
what's
you
coming.
do feel that though, but I think whenever you follow anyone who's got their own business, like even people who think are more ahead of you, everyone says like it's exactly that. Like it's always a roller
Definitely.
coaster thing. It's just like it's
Yeah.
just a choice. It's just a choice
Yeah.
that you make. But it is funny because I do feel like I know both of us. It's definitely been more for me this year because of the tribe. Because I think because I was PTing, it's such an actual easy business model because
Hmm.
you kind of just find a space. You've got no outgoings at all if you just, except from your space, like that's it. And once you've got a client base, because I did it from when I was 17, once you've got them like foundations, there's not really like any worry really, except for maybe you need to give it a little boost in the middle if you haven't got your
Yeah.
own place. I think if you add your own place, it's different. But like, you also would be quite neutral if we maybe what a normal job would be like, because it's kind of consistent and you're not having a mad high because you're not doing anything mad. You're just having these really nice moments, nice chats. But then I think with the tribe, like you have these like highs that like I've never had before in like the past year. Like some of the things we did, like especially when we first started doing like retreats, like I don't think me and Adam were speaking about it the other day. Like I think you forget that. So we did the one in a studio, which is just like a normal yoga studio, didn't we? Then we did our next event in like a big space, and I think it cost £300 to rent it, which for us at the time was actually a lot for a
Yeah.
space for just a couple of hours. Like we were like, oh, this is a bit mad, isn't it? And I mean, even we've seen it's harder like to fill these kinds of things now because they're so popular, but I think there wasn't anything like that then. And we sold out like 50 tickets to this event that we'd like never done before, had we? And we just were
I
like
know.
together, like, oh my God, like 50 people are coming to this. Like, and it
Yeah.
sold out in like 2 weeks. It was just, especially for me, it was just like the maddest thing that ever happened. Then we did something else and then that would like sell out. But then you would have a time where you're like, we were just in situations, especially on retreat, that neither of us has ever been in before, and you
No.
think, I am
No.
I am too deep in this water right now, and like I don't think we knew what a retreat was before we did it, because there's so much care and attention and detail that goes into a retreat. It's not something that you should just like step into for a bit of fun, because you basically, it's
Absolutely not.
hospitality for people. Like it's next level, which we've mastered now.
Hmm.
But it's took like retreat after retreat to do it. But I think we've definitely had moments, haven't we, where it's like, yeah, the roller coaster's like, da, 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 da. But then something mad will happen. Like even like the signs from the world that we were saying, like
Yeah.
we've had loads of freaky ones of them that you'll just kind of, will be like laying in bed having our chats and just go, what the hell?
No, definitely. And I think like when we say the roller coaster up and down, like I know I have said it, but the down isn't like a real down, like hide in bed, like don't want to do anything.
Yeah,
It's like it's like we just pick up the phone and we go, oh, this, and this, and then it's normally you going, right, well, we're gonna do this to make this bit
yeah.
better, and we're gonna do this, and then we've also been able to like grow our team, which has helped massively. But in terms of like business, like journey, I do think like it gets better every single year,
No, it definitely does. And I think
which
I
is really
think the thing
nice.
is though that is managing the highs, because I think sometimes, like as we said, it's not a low, but you might have a moment where you've got this basically a problem or a situation that you've got to figure it out, and in that moment it's like we've got each other. So some of this stuff, like, or even just genuinely, I just couldn't do it on my own. I just like, you need someone to speak to, don't you, about stuff. I think having a business partner, if you're going to do a business, I'd recommend to anyone now, because it just
Oh, I
helps,
couldn't
doesn't
do it
it?
on my own.
I just
Yeah.
think them conversations you have are just like so important. But I think sometimes if you're going to run a business, it can't all go smooth. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done any of the things we've done to get us out of things that
Mhm.
have actually made things better.
No,
Like
I
you
don't know how
have to
you
be in
even
a
did like,
scramble to like
yeah.
do something amazing.
I don't
Do
even
you know
know
what
how
I
you did
mean?
the PT on your own though, because I mean, oh, I do the ballet with my sister, and then we've got the older dance school, which is quite not quite new now, probably like a year and a half old. But I do that with Sophie, and again, like I'll rant away to her.
Yeah.
Not
I
that
think
there's
it's
much to
different
rant about,
now.
but
It's different because kids are involved who then have a parent. Like, I
yeah,
think
and that's
the only
true.
way I can explain it is like maybe when you taught the yoga, but like I've
Hmm.
always been so lucky, and I think we're lucky with the tribe. That's one thing we've never been unlucky with, is like the people. But I'd say that type of person that we get on retreat is very similar to the type of person I've always attracted in the PT. So it was
Yeah.
always these really genuinely lovely, grateful, amazing people who genuinely trust what you're doing, and that you want to help
Hmm.
them. And like, even I've told you some of the times, like some of the people that still like train with me now, like a woman and her husband who were like the first I was only 17 when they said ask for PT. They still train like with me now, like the woman does. And she always got me gorgeous Christmas presents and just like so thoughtful. And like no matter what in COVID, she would do 2 FaceTime PT sessions with me every
Yeah.
week. Like
Yeah.
to obviously support me during like because you panic in them times. I remember thinking like no one's gonna want to do a PT session on webcam. Like what's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
point?
yeah.
They
But
want
they
to see
do.
you in person, but they did and they do.
Yeah.
And just them types of people, genuinely, with the PT, I was very lucky. So I don't know whether it's kind of that's why I'd say it's different with kids because I think if you've got people that are so protective of like this baby, and so would I be, and like they just want the baby to be the best and everything. So there's so many factors, isn't there, to like
Yeah.
run and that kind of type of thing. Whereas with a
Yeah,
PT, people would just
definitely.
come for themselves and like have a little chat and probably a little rant about the drama that they've been going through or whatever. So it's
I
just a little bit
know.
of a therapy session, really. But
It is funny because I say like I like rant to like Georgia or so for you, but it's never really like a rant, is it? It's more like a
no,
what should I do about this? Or so and so said this and I need help replying or do you know what?
it's so normal though. I just feel
Yeah,
like that's the problem with Instagram, and I feel like that's half why we've kind of gone into the tribe. We've kind of trying to be open about the journey of starting new
yeah,
business. Don't doubt our vision. Like there's no ceiling on our vision, and it would just be amazing if this everything we want to do becomes it, and you can all see it. But I think it's very rare you get to see the non-Instagram stuff, is it?
yeah.
So like,
No,
but I
definitely.
know you just know that everyone who's running a business is the same. I think it's like I need to check this, so maybe I'll check it in the next one. But can't someone said to me, and I don't even know if it's true, but they said um like Elon Musk,
Mhm.
basically the whole Amazon situation and all his businesses and stuff, he got investors based on telling them that he knows it'll be something in 20 years. And he
Oh,
said, I don't
really?
think it'll be anything for 20 years. Like, but you just once it is something, I think it'll be like it'll make the most money out of anything ever,
Oh,
which it
really?
has.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I don't know how true this is. This is a conversation I had yesterday, but it'd be interesting to look into it. But I just think, imagine how many people thought, God, he's having a nightmare.
I know.
He's having a terrible time. And you think, little do they know. The roller coaster's on its way up for him. Wild.
Oh. Yeah, that is wild. I think sometimes like the trust goes or like people are skeptical, but you've just gotta aim high, haven't you? And be like,
Yeah, you've got it.
this is what's happening. And like trust the little signs that come your way. I think even leaving that franchise was a sign. Leaving the
Yeah, do
last
you think
studio,
now though, like
it's a
you're the
sign.
most confident in your decisions now at this age? Or do you think you were
No,
more
probably
like
not.
naive and confident then?
No, I probably am more confident in a decision, but I'm
Yeah,
probably a little bit more cautious of like, okay, well, I'm not gonna put everything into that because that might happen or this might happen
yeah, a bit more
or
cautious.
you'd back it up and be like, you need to make sure something's in place to make sure that doesn't happen. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
So I wouldn't have another studio again if I thought that the neighbours might complain about the noise
Yeah,
and you'd have to leave. So you'd have to kind of back that up and be like, well, I know I'm able to stay here for 3 years. So if I spend this amount doing it up, then it would end up being worth it. I would look at it that way rather than be like, oh, well, I'm going to do it anyway, which is kind of what I
yeah,
was
like
like
just see what
before.
happens.
I would say if anyone has got a really clear vision that and they want to start something, like you said before, Rach, even PT, dance schools, I don't even know what else. I only know what we do.
Yeah.
Yoga, there's not actually much cost to set it up. So if you were thinking, I haven't got the money to set that up, some of these halls are £20 an hour, and you would, if you were going to do yoga, you'd just need your mat and a bit of incense,
Yeah. And
and you're
you just
good to
need to have a
go.
little bit of a taste, don't you? Because like Same with Baby Ballet, obviously the franchise situation, but if you hadn't worked for her and had a little taste of doing that, you wouldn't know if you wanted to do it. If you'd never
Yeah.
went to a yoga class, you wouldn't know like if you liked it, or
Yeah.
hired that hall, you never would have thought it would work. And everything, if you're doing it off your own back, is going to be a little bit of work, because I think that's the only thing, like, say with the PT, if I hadn't like stood on the floor in the gym and
Mhm.
maybe put myself out there on Instagram, I don't think you'd get like them customers. Same for you hiring that hall. Yeah, and then if you hadn't hired that hall, then you wouldn't have ever done the tribe. Like, how wild is that?
Mhm.
Like, you wouldn't have taught yoga
Mhm.
for the tribe, because I wouldn't have been messaging you on Instagram because you wouldn't have been a yoga teacher. So
I know.
I wouldn't have needed
I
you.
know. And I do think, like, look at those little signs, if someone's saying to you, like, do you want to come and do this training with me? Or you keep getting this advert given to you on Instagram that's like, I don't know, like, set up your own boutique or whatever it is that you want to do, or something beauty, just go for it and give it a go, because sometimes you just have to, it sounds cheesy, but like, just put the trust in yourself, because if you back yourself, then you'll be able to do it. Do you know what I mean? So,
No, 100%. I feel like you have got to kind of have that you've got to back yourself. Like, I feel like there must be something in
yeah.
both of us that thought. I think if you doubt yourself too much early on, it won't become anything, because you've literally limited it in your head anyway. I do think, especially you, I think you've always had like a confidence in from the dance back. You've got to have a quiet confidence, haven't
Yeah,
you, to
yeah.
perform or anything
Mhm.
like that. But I think for PT, it was the first thing I was like, I'm really good. Like, this is my thing and I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
like it, and I'm good at it. I was like, really, like,
Yeah.
people were listening to me. I was like, why is everyone listening to me? Do you know what I mean? So I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
whatever gives you like a voice and you feel like there's a sign for you to do it, like, we wouldn't be doing this now if we hadn't have done that. I don't think.
No,
So it's wild.
definitely not. So I am grateful for the journey,
We're still on
and
the
the
journey.
going, and in fact, like, the visions are just getting probably more and more wild.
More wild, but more clear.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Shall we end on a card?
We should. Our affirmation cards coming soon. You still have to wait with this episode. They've still not landed with us, but we're
Are
gonna.
you ready to say stop?
Yeah, this is gonna be. If you're listening now, this is your sign from the world. In 3, 2, 1.
Okay. It says, I'm aligned with my highest, most authentic self.
Wild. There you go. So
Wild.
let's start connecting to that most authentic version, because I feel like that's what we're trying to say. I feel like we kind of both are people who lean into your path. Like,
Mhm.
it, from what you said, I feel like you've just definitely rode the wave of every single building you've been in for and
I also think, going back to costs, it probably sounds like, okay, well, you both started something very early 20s. And like, we did have a lot of support from family, because, like I say, we're both living at home at that point. However, I do know people that have started yoga like a lot further on in life and did it as like a side hustle. And I also know a girl that's done nails as a side hustle. So I do think, don't let having a job like stand in the way of
No,
what you
and do
want your
both.
job to be,
Yeah, and maybe
because you
it
could
could be
definitely do
both.
both.
Yeah, maybe it could be both, couldn't it? I
Mhm.
think you've always
Yeah.
got to transition. All of mine were a side hustle for like
Yeah, they were.
years, like years and years and
Yeah.
years. So like, it's actually, if you keep it fun, it's better. I think that was always like my
Yes.
fun. Like, it can't be something that's like a chore. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But
gorgeous.
yeah, thanks
Well,
so much for listening.
yeah, so nice. It's nice to share Emily's story. I feel like I just didn't even know it all, but I do now. I feel like I need to find out everything that I still don't know. But no,
I
we've
know
had
I've probably missed all sorts out that have happened along the way.
no, but I
But
feel like it's a good marker, because like, we did
yeah.
this in another year or two, but it'd just be like interesting to see what we're saying
Mhm.
now compared to them. It's like a virtual journal, like a digital
Yes,
journal, I suppose, of the
it is
visions.
indeed.
But yes, thank you so much for listening. It's so
Thank you
nice to
so
catch up
much.
again. I feel like it'll probably be another catch up next week, and then I'll be home. So
A real
interesting.
life
A real life
podcast.
together. Amazing. Thank you so much for
See
listening,
you next
tribe.
week.
See you next week.